still brokish 10 seasons later, y'all? And if we are, what can we expect from season 10? What we talking about this season? And can we please get caught up on all of the shenanigans that have happened since season 9 ended? Well, I'm so glad you asked because we are talking about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokish, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erica.
Hey brokers, I'm Amber.
And I'm Erica.
And we're back.
Back in, I don't know that song, Amber. What's that song I'm talking about?
I don't even know what songs you're trying
Back
to
in the something again.
Do you mean Back in the Saddle? Oh my
Is that
God.
what it is?
I
don't
hope
know.
you're humiliated. I hope you feel it because I have secondhand embarrassment for you.
Look, I feel humiliated because of this hair. This is why I'm personally feeling humiliated. Just because
I liked it till you said you look like olive oil, and now I can't see it.
Olive
So
oil,
our
Cindy Lou
antics,
Who.
guys.
I don't know. But I'm happy to be back.
To show you, we're Brokish is a prepubescent.
Wow.
Bless our hearts.
Look, you know I'm in perimenopause. Everything is the same. It feels like puberty. So
am I.
There you go. See, that's what it is. Yay for us. But no, Amber, I'm excited. I'm excited to be back. Even though I was right before we did this, I was actually taking a nap. So this is what.
Now let me give y'all some inside information on the hypocrisy that comes in forms around here. Now, if I am 2 minutes late to the recording, okay, I do have technology challenges because it just is what it is. I don't have a recording studio in my house, okay, because I'm not Death Row Records Part 2. But I got a text message that said, well, can we move the recording back so I can take a nap? Now, I just want y'all to know, if I had done that to Erica Luther King, she would be out in the street marching, okay? A bus boycott, all right? But I was told we need to move the recording back so she could take a nap. And you know what I said? Because the love of Jesus lives in me. I said, yes, sis, that's fine. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Look, and then I love how you say you have technology issues. So I would like us to be clear with our language. Amber does not have technology issues. Her technology is fine. Amber don't know how to use her technology. So I'm so glad that Amber arrived to the show 2 minutes earlier than the appointed time, because every time she has to call her husband either physically or on the phone to get him to tell her how to make it work. So God bless that man, because he's so patient and he's always like, baby. And it's very sweet to see. But the only reason we here is because of him. So actually, shout out to him.
Hi, boo. Thank you for helping me. And I'm sorry that I don't always have it together, but that's what we do for each other. So I appreciate you. Thank you, baby.
Are you talking to me? That felt like an apology to me.
Girl, I was talking to my man.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. It felt like an apology to me. So Amber, honestly, Amber, this sort of the beginning of the fall has been a blur. I don't even know when we stopped, like when the last show was. I don't even know where we ended up. I think we ended up, it was definitely before the Democratic National Convention.
Yes, it was before all the shenanigans. It was in July.
No, we recorded in August. Amber, stop it. We ain't been off that long.
No, ma'am. We stopped in July. Because I went on vacation in July.
Oh, okay. Well, what you been up to?
I've been on vacation in July. My kids went back to school, and now, I'm just basically Ubering them around for no money. Ooh, but I will tell you guys something. And, I'm inviting all the smoke. We are getting a pool in our backyard, and I am a little bit excited because they're here today putting in the tile I picked out. That's the only part I'm excited about. I really don't care about the pool. I don't really care, but the tile I picked is really, really pretty. And I've been just having an HGTV moment all day, like seeing this tile, feeling very proud of myself and my really good taste. So
Well, look
kudos
at you,
to me.
Amber. I mean, the jokes write themselves. I'm just happy that I'm just happy that the Black elite have a platform. Look at you, Amber. I'm so thrilled for you. I love that. And I'm happy. And I can't wait to get invited over. Can't wait.
Do y'all see how Black capitalists are delusional? Because this heifer got a pool too, but that's fine. That's fine. She can talk. I'm excited about my tile. I am excited about the tile and the tile alone. It's just, yes, I'm excited.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. What have I been up to since July? Gosh. Let me go
I
back. The
mean, you've been
memory.
dissertating. Is that a word? Ain't that the word, dissertating?
That's what they say. It still feels like a fake word to me, but I do say it. I haven't started dissertating, but let me get you caught up on the academic journey. So I think I mentioned this is why I feel like it was later. But anyway, so I started adjuncting at a local university. Okay. And can I just say that let me just say teaching at the university level, I'm sure teaching at all levels, but this is my first time like officially being instructor of record. And it is so hard. I am doing everything I can to try to keep my students engaged. And I feel like a comedian and I'm trying to get the jokes to land. I'm trying to do something to get them pumped up. Like they won't speak. And it is really frustrating to me because I'm teaching a class called social problems. So we're talking about lots of really complicated things, right? Because social life is complicated and nobody wants to talk. But I know that they have really, I'll say, interesting views that I would love to just dig more deeply into, but they will not speak. So it has been such a challenge trying to come up with different strategies and different ways to get them to engage with me and with each other and with the material. And it is very hard. So shout out to all the teachers out there who are,
Right.
keeping people's attention, because I'm not one of them, apparently. I'm not.
Are you intimidating the children, Professor Brown?
No. What am I intimidating? No, I'm not intimidating the children. I like come and I try to be relatable and stuff. So school's been in a while now. So like when school first started, I had a very well placed, cutesy and demure and mindful joke that seemed to go well, right? So I'm trying to be relatable in some ways. Like, hey, I'm out here on these same TikTok streets as you. And I do a football recap after we get back every week, like who won, who lost, usually based on this where the school I am. They've been losing a lot, but I still talk about it. I'm like, what y'all been doing for the weekend? But it's just it's not working. And this is part of why I'm so tired and I need that nap. Is, it's like I don't know how people like Jared teaches like 4 classes. And I don't know how people teach like that's just a lot of emotional labor and maybe it's different demographics, all that kind of stuff, but they just not talking to me, Amber, and it's really sad for me.
I'm sorry. Maybe it's just too big. Maybe when you get one of those round table,
Maybe
intimate classes, because people, especially young kids, don't nobody want to look stupid, don't nobody want to say the wrong thing, and don't nobody want to get canceled. Tipping their hat that they watch Fox News in social problems class to their Black professor. So,
but they all do. So that's what I don't understand. Like they're all. Well, anyway, that's not the point. I'm going to keep going and talking about myself because look, y'all, if y'all don't know, if this is y'all's first season of Brokish, like, first of all, go get caught up. But this is what we do. It's a season opener. So this episode is really going to be a lot of bullshit. Like, honestly, that's just what this is. This is just us getting back together, getting you caught up. We're not really talking about a whole lot of serious stuff today. So if that's what you're looking for, that's not today. Come back or go back. Were you going to say something, Amber? You look like you was going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, it's not that we're not talking about serious stuff. We're just being very unserious about the serious stuff we're talking about.
Yes. Well, I mean, we haven't yet talked about anything serious. Like,
fair
we're just,
enough, fair enough. Yes.
So, okay. So, other updates. So that's the thing about academia that I really hate. And people say this is the same in corporate America, and maybe I just didn't face it in the same way. But it is just so emotional. Like the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows, and they just love to put you in your place and make you feel like small, and I hate it. But anyway, so I've been sending out all this work, right? Trying to get myself published because you don't have any legitimacy if the people don't publish your work and say that your work is worth something, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I got my first what they call R&R, for revise and resubmit. That essentially means I sent in some work to a journal and they read it and they're like, maybe we rock with it, but we have these 2 reviewers and they're going to give you feedback. And if you make the changes according to their liking, then maybe we'll publish your stuff. Okay. So I just sent my stuff back. We don't know if they'll like me or not, but that's one thing. The other thing was just another rejection letter, which honestly, it hurts. Every time it still hurts, but the show must go on. So I'm editing that right now. But the good news, the big news is that I finished my qualifying paper, which means that I am now a PhD candidate. I'm not just a student. So,
it's levels to this in real life. Yes, candidate. Okay.
Yes, that's how you must refer to me now. I need to go and update all the signatures that I have on my 80 million emails to reflect the fact. It's so nobody cares and nobody knows. That's the other part about academia. I'm like, y'all doing all this and don't nobody know or care. And you're doing it for nothing. Like then there's not even any money in it. There's not even any monetary reward.
It doesn't matter. But listen, in self-policing fields, you have to celebrate yourself. So if you don't give yourself importance, nobody else will. I mean, it just is what it is. You know, if you don't do a bunch of unnecessary roadblocks within your own profession to make it important, I mean, who's going to do it for you?
I guess. So
that's the way of the world.
That's the thing. I'm now a candidate, whatever that means. But no, for me, what that means is that I will start dissertating next year. Ooh. Yes. And then I'll be done as fast as I'm done with the dissertation. So now, and don't ask nobody that's getting their PhD when they're getting done, when they're going to be done. Don't ask nobody that. Okay. Not one of y'all anymore ask me when you're going to be done. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. And part of it is I need people to sign up for my study. And the people that I meet, when I email them, they don't write me back.
So are you paying people or giving them Target gift cards? Because I used to do studies in college to get money in Target gift cards.
I pay a $25 Amazon gift card in a $25 Amazon gift card.
That's what I was getting for studies in oh, okay. Well, that's what I was getting for studies in like 2003 and 2004. I mean,
Amber, the people are not in my backyard digging it up and putting my tile in. I'm paying people $25 in Amazon gift cards out of my own budget, which if I told you how much they pay me to teach this class, you'd be mortified. Like,
I'm just saying, child.
So all my little teaching money goes into my little research budget so I can pay the people. But it's okay because nobody has signed up. So I haven't had to pay none of the $25.
Well, we're going to name and claim and decree and declare that you are going to have all the people you need, that God is going to send you your people, and that they are going to give you the data you need to dissertate and to dissertate well. And we pray that God divinely multiplies that $25 Amazon gift card like he did them catfish baskets in the Gospels. In Jesus' name,
amen. Thank you so much, Amber. I received that. And so, yeah, that's what I've been up to. So that was kind of that was like a very long update. But anyway.
I'm just glad you have something to share. I mean, because working is super ghetto, and when you do the work I do, I can't talk about what I be doing anyway because it's covered by attorney-client privilege. So I just be on here and people probably be like, what the hell do she be doing? I can't tell you. That's why. I can't tell you.
Well, here's the thing that I find interesting about you. You said work is ghetto. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not working. Like, wait a minute. I don't like how that came out of your mouth, Amber, because I want to let everybody know Erica has 3 jobs. Okay. I have
I mean,
3
hip
jobs.
dogs are still hollering in 2024 because I wasn't even talking about you.
I have
I wasn't
3
even trying
jobs.
to say you
I
did
have
not
3
work.
twos because I have 3 jobs. I have 3 low wage jobs, but I do have 3 of them. So
Tommy, I know you got a job. I was not trying to say you did not have a job,
I
Tommy.
have
I was
3.
not. Oh, jobs. Tommy, I was not coming for you. I wasn't.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
just saying, in the traditional framework, for those of us who are in a more traditional framework, not working 3 low wage jobs or jobs adjacent to
This the black
the higher
condition. What you
education.
mean, those of
Okay,
us? I'm us. You the one that's not
girl,
like us.
girl, girl.
Like,
Anyway, I wasn't even coming for you, Tommy. I wasn't. You got a job, Tommy. You got a job.
3,
3 jobs.
3 low wage jobs.
3 low wage.
This is black life, just so you know. For many people, this is black life.
That's
For real.
true. That's true. That's true.
Brokish is more than the name of this show.
Listen,
It's the material conditions.
I'm gonna let her stand in fake solidarity. Okay.
So, okay. So Amber, what do you want to talk about that's been in the news? We're gonna say in the past weeks, because also by the time this show airs, like some of these people might already be dead or in jail. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
God
That's true.
willing. So yeah.
Well, it's crazy because I feel like every time we take our break, um, like a flare comes down from heaven and God is like, let me give y'all some content for y'all's first show. Okay. Um, because obviously we took a break and then, Joe dropped out of the election and that was its own crazy thing. But then y'all's favorite rapping hip hop producer that wanna be all in your video, all in the studio, uh got indicted, and then the details have started to come out. And it's only laughable because, again, these things have been happening, I feel like, in plain sight in our face for decades. We've been seeing it and hearing about it and witnessing it to some degree. Um, and then we are seeing the epically incredible fall of Sean Diddy Combs. And the details are just pretty insane. Pretty insane. Mhm.
For sure. And we did a show, not I mean, we did a show where we talked a lot about Diddy. We talked about the Cassie situation in particular. And this is one of those times where I really have to sort of interrogate what I really want from the world and what I really believe. And by that I mean, in my heart, I do want to be some kind of an abolitionist, right? Like, I think humans belong in jails, in cages? And I have to answer that question as no, I don't think humans belong in cages. But at the same time, I know that doesn't mean that people are free from accountability, that we don't have ways for there to be any sort of justice and being able to restore victims. But in this case, like, I'm like, maybe not all humans in cages, but maybe him in one. I don't know. And I do feel, and I don't know why I feel bad about how I feel, but I might feel bad about how I feel, but not about his situation, because I didn't do it. He did, or allegedly he did it.
Mhm.
I will say that I am probably a little bit surprised by the fact that he wasn't granted bail. And I understand why they say he wasn't granted bail because, although he turned over all of his documents and turned over the documents of his kids and his baby mamas and his cats and dogs, like, don't nobody have a passport in that household no more. But, and I know that he would stay, they're like, he could still coerce people, right? He would still try to, like, all of these weird happenings that occurred in his orbit with people getting almost blown up or killed or all this. So I get that, but I still, the US shocks me sometimes in terms of how it values money and how it doesn't. And I know he's Black at the end of the day, so don't get me wrong. I understand this is like also Black condition, but still, I was surprised by that. What did you think about the lack of bail?
I was surprised initially. Then when I was apprised of the reasons why, I understood it. But it's just very rare to see somebody who has multimillionaire status and who has that type of power remanded into custody, particularly in a situation where they haven't tried to flee first. That's just really, really rare and just something that you don't see. So I did not even entertain the thought that he could not or would not be granted bail. And when it happened, I was surprised. I was.
Do you think this is one of those situations where because he's Black, there is an overreach that would not have applied to a similarly situated white man?
Yes. But I do think it is an overreach that is factually supported. However, comma, I do think that if he had been a white male who was a Wall Street banker, I think he would have got bail with a monitor and he would have been placed on house arrest.
But look, I just want to be very clear. We're not over here with no violins, big or small.
No, because you can't patty cake with the system and then get mad when you know, get the brunt of it labeled back onto you. And I will also say that I feel like what is happening with Diddy is also a reminder that the things that we value inside of this system is like really disgusting. People who are palatable to us, we overlook a lot of the problematic ways they show up in this world. And I think about, I was watching some videos on YouTube a couple of nights ago, and there was a video of Michelle, and she was talking about how everybody thought Suge Knight was the monster that did her dirty. And she was like, Suge was great. It was Dr. Dre that was beating my ass. It was Dr. Dre that was terrorizing me. And I feel like people like Diddy, like who we think about Suge Knight as, it's the people tap dancing in front of us in lime green suits and, you know, walking around on yachts and, you know, smiling with the perfect white teeth. Those are the people that are oftentimes the most problematic, but they're the people that we, you know, think of as, you know, harmless.
When the news came out, of course, you have the people who are like, y'all always trying to bring the Black man down. We're the white men, right? So we're ignoring all those people, right? Because here on Brokish, we want all the abusers down, right? Like, we don't care your racial or ethnic makeup. We want all the abusers down. But the thing that was interesting to me that I think that people looked at in some weird kind of ways is like, let's talk about like the quantity of baby oil and lubricants, right? So that was one of the things that appeared in all the articles. And so on the one hand, you have these people are like, that man is just freaky. That's not a crime, right? Like, and on the other hand, you had people who were like, why is that even a part of the news story? This is a much bigger deal. This is about racketeering. This is about kidnapping, I think. This is about, you know, all of traveling across state lines, doing all of these illegal things, having this network. And then probably there was another hand, is where I fall. And I'm like, so tell me what you think. But as far as that is concerned, I do not care what consenting adults do in their private sex lives with one or more people. I do not care. I wish y'all the best and I hope it's good. That is how I am on that. But to me, the quantity is interesting as relates to the story, because I'm thinking about like all the things that I can imagine him putting people through. Because if you need that much stuff for that many people, and then at the end of it, people have to get hooked up to IVs because you have moved them to the point of exhaustion, that is not just, I'm a freak. Like, we're in a different realm here. You are legitimately turning people into sex slaves and like working them to the point that they can't do anything else. And That is just not cool and like very bad. So anyway, where did you land on the whole conversation around that?
I think to me, what the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and all of that reminds us is it takes a village to be a terrorist. Because I agree with you. This is not about consenting adults. It's not about people who want to engage in sex with more than one partner. This is not about people who want to engage in sex with people of their same gender. This has nothing to do with any of that. Because I agree. I believe
Monster.
in the book of Salt and Pepper. That's none of my business. Um, but what I think is that when you have an enterprise that is so deeply rooted and so far fetching that there is somebody on your payroll whose job it was to order 1,000 bottles of baby oil, I think it's the same thing we come back to with R. Kelly. It's the same thing we come back to with Weinstein,
All the time.
Bill Cosby. It takes a village. And if people around you are willing to enable you in terrorizing other humans and in violating other humans, then that is a problem. And to me, that was the part of it that was the most disgusting and heartbreaking, is that there were people whose job it was to make sure that this kind of stuff happened and that he was inoculated from it. And they did that job for years.
Yes, and that's interesting to me as because I am also trying to tease out where do we have the point of people being enablers and where do we have people who are also being victimized? And I don't know that line, right? And I know that there were some people probably who maybe fell on different sides of that at different points in time. But I have to imagine that because everybody's like, well, why is everybody coming out now? And a lot of that is because you're like, okay, finally he is safely somewhere that he can probably not harm me. That's probably a fair assumption. And so people are like, now I want to talk.
Yes.
But I do want to hold space for it. Is it all enablement or are there people who are working out of fear? Now, yes, there are a lot of people who are working out of greed, right? A lot of people who just want to have proximity to power. A lot of people who was into that same shit he was into, right? Like,
And I don't even think it has to be fear. There are some people who are working out of survival. So I am not here to put the blame on the intern or the likely low-level assistant who put the order in to wherever to order all this stuff. What I am saying is the village of accomplices are the record label executives, are the
for
people who are
sure.
cutting him checks, are the people who are hearing the whispers, because you can't behave like this for years and decades and people not hear whispers and people not make reasonable inquiry into whether what they're hearing is true or not and then sever relationships accordingly. So I'm not talking about the people whose job it was to take the sheets off the bed after it was done or the nurses who gave the IVs. I'm talking about the people who had the power to say, I'm ending my business relationship with you because I'm not going to do business with people who beat the shit out of women in the lobby of hotel rooms. Or I'm not going to do business with people who, I mean, just based on, I don't know if you watched Making the Band on MTV. Do you remember Making the Band?
No.
I mean, I know you are a few decades older than me, but like when I was in high school and college, that was the lick, Making the Band. And I look back now and I see the way like he treated those kids that were trying to be in the band. I mean, Diddy was trash. Diddy was trash, and we thought
I've
that it was
heard.
just being hard on them and like artist development. But I think about some of the ways that he talked to people and looked at people and treated people while the cameras were rolling, and then you wonder like, damn, what was happening when they wasn't going?
You don't want to wonder. And now you don't
Yeah.
have to. There are also people. So, Amber, tell us from a legal perspective, if you can. There were people who talked about, well, the feds, one of the things that they mentioned, probably somewhere in the indictment or at least in the news stories about it, is that this is a case that the feds have been pursuing for years, right? Like, I think at least 10 years they talked about that.
10 years,
So, some
yes.
people are like, why do the feds chase a case for 10 years? Like, certainly something could have happened sooner than now.
So I will tell you that the indictment inside of the federal criminal justice system is over 98%. It's 98 point something percent. And there is a reason why. There is something powerful when the United States attorney stands up and says that it is the United States versus, that is literally what they mean. I mean, oftentimes, like I was a district attorney in Dallas County. So our resources were wildly different. We didn't have the same level of investigative resources, testing resources, the type of sophisticated technology that allows you to trace and track. So one of the reasons why the conviction rate is so high in the federal system is because they have literally unlimited resources. And so when they put together indictments, it is not based on the type of I don't want to say speculation, but on the type of sort of necessary logical assumptions that a lot of times you see in state indictments. Well, if this person's cell phone was pinging at the same place as this person's cell phone, we can logically assume that that means they were together at the same time when the crime took place. I mean, when the feds come after you, they have an interview with the person who had the other phone in their hand. And there is an affidavit by that person saying to them, I am swearing under oath and the penalty of perjury that the reason my phone was pinging at the same place as this person's phone is because we was together, you know? And so
But why does it take 10 years? We know that we assume that Diddy has been doing these things for decades. So they probably had those admissions, they had that evidence.
No, not necessarily. Because you have to remember that a lot of times witnesses are afraid to talk.
Sure.
Sometimes
Especially in this
people are conspirators. And so a lot of times what happens, and this happens quite a bit when you have cases like this that touch and concern alleged conspiracies, you have to work out and resolve the cases of people who have lesser culpability inside of the conspiracy, because a lot of times the information they are offering is in exchange for a less stringent sentence. And so that alone can take years because the co-conspirators case, and then they have to file those indictments under seal because they want to keep the indictment of the co-conspirator quiet so it doesn't tip off the other people. And so those are it does not surprise me that they have been investigating him as long as they have, because also remember, to build a RICO case or a case like this one, because it's not RICO, but it's RICO with sex trafficking. That's just a nice way to look at it. But you have to show that the activities happened across state line. Think about how many bank accounts like a regular person has, like sometimes maybe 3 or 4.
The Black elite like you. Yeah. And how many do you have, Amber?
Anyway, that's your lick back because I said you was old. You got it. But do you know how many bank accounts that man probably has in various entity names with various like to uncover all of that? And then think about, you don't just get that information every time you access a bank account or a phone record. That requires a warrant. So that work is very tedious. And I would assume that there were probably times in the beginning of the investigation where they sought warrants, where they sought clearance to do certain things, and they were denied because they didn't have probable cause. So when you get denied, you have to go back and keep investigating and then start over again and then start over again. So it does not surprise me that they took as long as they did.
Well, again, I'm still working out my own stuff in terms of humans being in cages, but for sure, I am thrilled about some kind of accountability, right? Like hands down, I'm thrilled about some kind of accountability. Well, if he's convicted of the things.
I think that there is a very substantial likelihood that he will be convicted, both statistically and just based on what we've seen. I think it's going to be very hard for them to find a jury member who had not seen the video of Cassie. And I will just tell you, just as a practical matter, when people have seen you commit one crime with their eyes, it's really substantially easier for them to believe you did the other shit too. That's just how it works. And I think it's just going to be really hard for him to find a jury of people who don't believe he did what he's accused of now that video has been made public.
So we'll see. But there is no shortage of New Yorkers that been indicted.
Yeah,
Because your friend, America's mayor, Eric Adams.
my friend.
I don't know. I just said your friend.
I don't know that man, but yeah, I mean, listen. And this is another thing about powerful men that trips me out. I feel like sometimes people forget, like, Two Chainz was not joking when he said the feds be watching. So, like, the things that they said this man texted and emailed and said out loud, it just
Eric Adams, girl, you know what? I have not. Eric Adams is such an interesting person to me because what do they call him? Like the party mayor? Like he's in all these places. Like you see him now in all these videos and all these pictures posing with Diddy, posing with here, all around everywhere. And it's like, Eric, what are you doing besides going to the parties? But anyway, he's just an interesting, like little man to me. I don't know. I don't know anything at all about him. So please tell me, what did the people say that he did?
well, they he's indicted for accepting illegal campaign contributions from international businessmen and dignitaries from Turkey. Um, and then, in addition to accepting those illegal contributions, he he then audaciously enough received matching contributions on the basis of the illegal contributions, and I think that brings the total to somewhere around $10 million of unlawful contributions he accepted in campaign donations. And he
Is it
was
like when you could
also,
take your coupons down to Kroger on a certain day and then you get 3 times the coupons? Did he do that with the campaign with the
yes,
coupon?
but it's like going through self checkout and illegally tripling the coupon. So like you supposed to get 30 cents off, but because you went self checkout, you scan it 3 times and then the Kroger ends up owing you money for the can of corn as opposed to you paying for the can of corn.
I did
That
not know this
that's
was
like
something that happens at the self checkout with coupon. I don't know what Amber does down to her Kroger's.
now, first of
But
all, bitch, you know I got fired from Kroger. That's how you know I got fired from Kroger. So
they didn't
you
have
know
self
this.
checkout when you got fired from
They
Kroger
did
two
not, but
decades
I
ago.
got fired over a coupon and a can of corn. I did. I did. So
Anyway, so they allege that he was taking the money from the Turkish people,
yes.
and then he was flipping it over here to get some matching funds from the citizens of New York.
Yes. And I believe he got some matching funds from the DNC as well.
Well, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, right, right. I mean, here's the thing about it. I think what bothers me the most about people like Eric Adams is because some of the positions he's taken politically, like when it comes to the price of housing in New York, when it comes to some of the issues that have occurred with policing in certain communities, I feel like when you are um, being buttressed by ill-gotten gain, to you ought to be Robin Hood. You ought to be more on the side of the people. Like the fact that you out here living foul, like you ought to be like Nino Brown handing out turkeys on Thanksgiving. Like it just I don't understand why you want to be unpopular and immoral. Like at least be the people's champ if you're going to be stealing off the backs of the people.
Well, he was giving back to people allegedly, like his girlfriend. Didn't he? Didn't she get a job? I mean,
She did. She did. And she got some very nice business class seats on Turkish Airways, which listen,
I don't
I'm
have
the
experience with that. So tell us who don't have
now
experience with Turkish
I ain't been
Airways. Amber,
nowhere
please tell
but
us.
the Caribbean, but I will tell y'all, um, Turkish Airways is expensive, okay? Expensive, like my grandmother used to say, expensive, okay? Because I was looking up a trip I'm hoping to take in, the upcoming months. And my gosh, like, shit, they could have been indicted on in accepting business class seats from Turkish Airways alone. You could send a baby to college for some business class seats on Turkish Airways, baby. Jeez. I
So
took them out of Skyscanner. I said, don't send me nothing else from Turkish Airways, but don't send me nothing else from them, okay? Because I don't have it.
Wow. Well, we'll see what happens to Mayor Adams. There will be no tears shed here, of course, for
No,
him. Maybe liquor.
no.
Maybe we will pour out a little for all the people that he shit on, but absolutely there will be no tears shed for Mayor Adams. But Amber, who we will shed tears for, and this is breaking news. It won't be breaking by the time the show airs, but it's breaking to us, y'all. So we sad. I'm sad. I just read that John Amos passed.
He did. Rest in peace
James
to.
Evans Sr.
Yes, yes.
Amber, you don't know that I have seen every episode of Good Times. You don't know how as a child, I watched that show and love Good Times so much. And there are certain episodes of Good Times that even today, I cannot watch them because they're too emotional. So, for example, the episode where Thelma and Keith are getting married and JJ trips him, when that episode comes on, I cannot watch it because I will be in a puddle of tears because that was just too much. But anyway, I love that show. And even though I do not believe in, corporal punishment for children and all of that, James Evans was, he was always threatening to take his belt off. But I just love that man in that show.
So this is hard for you because this is the second time John Amos has died for you, So I'm sorry that this is hitting you in a different way.
Yeah. And don't nobody do no research and tell me nothing about, I don't want to know about what he did in his past. I don't want to know what was wrong with the man. I don't know that today. And I want to keep not knowing it. I liked James Evans Sr. I love Good Times. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I like Good Times too. And, I hope that Penny gets the help that she needs. Clearly Penny is still suffering trauma because she didn't open her damn mouth talking about Kamala's daddy is white. So we are lifting up the family of John Amos, James Evans, and we're also continuing our prayers for Penny as well, because clearly Penny is still having some issues from what happened.
Imagine if you had been burned with an iron. Imagine.
Yeah. Shout out to Walona for being an angel. But Penny still needs some therapy, apparently. Mm-hmm. And who else needs some therapy?
Oh, who?
Gayle King and that black man on CBS News, who sat there while.
Tell the people what you're talking about.
Ta-Nehisi Coates was.
Call that man by his right. That man name ain't Ta-Nehisi Coates.
How you say it?
That man name is Ta-Nehisi.
Oh, Ta-Nehisi. Thank you for correcting me because I don't want to be saying nobody's name wrong. Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Do you also be calling Kamala? I used to call her Kamala, but that's another. I didn't
no, I have never called her Kamala. No, and when my kids call her that, it's like nails on a chalkboard. But
okay, I'm sorry, Ta-Nehisi.
Ta-Nehisi Coates was called everything but a child of God on the CBS News Today show for having the audacity to say that in his new book, The Message, he talks about what he saw firsthand when he went to Israel and he saw gasp Palestinian people being treated as second-class citizens by the apartheid state of Israel. And so, yes, we are hoping that Gayle and her co-host get in some self-love and therapy as well. Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Absolutely. I think the parts of that episode, that exchange that I saw, and I apologize because I don't know the host's name. I never seen him before. I don't know that.
I don't know. I only know Gayle's name. I don't know the white man's name or the black man's name.
But yeah, I want us to talk about the white man though, Amber. Like I feel like Gayle and that man, and this ain't right because Gayle done had money. Gayle done been rich a long time, right? So Gayle don't still have to be doing this. Gayle don't have to still be licking nobody's boots. I don't know about that other man, but Gayle got enough money to free herself from whatever might have her captive. Okay, so she don't have to be doing that. And I don't know if that black man does, but that white man was something else on that interview, Amber. Like the way that he, first of all, was so self-assured. right?
Oh
Like so
yeah. Oh
self-assured
yeah.
that his argument is the right argument. But there were so many things that he said that I thought were just really harmful and awful. And so the question of if Israel doesn't have the right to exist, then why do the Palestinians have a right to exist? And it's like,
What you talking about? Yeah. Yeah.
and the whole time, just the smug way that he went about asking the questions and how he just dismissed the idea of there being a right and a wrong as it relates to genocide, as it relates to apartheid, was mind blowing. And the thing probably that, and this should not have pissed me off the most, like it should not have been, it was the least egregious of all the things. But at the end, when he said to that black man, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and looked him in his face and said, "We're going to still invite you to the holiday," I wanted to jump through the computer. I was like, and I was mad on two sides. I was mad at him for acting as sort of this gatekeeper to this polite society where, we will still let you come through the front door. You don't have to go around back, Ta-Nehisi. And I was so mad at that. But then I was also a little bit mad at Ta-Nehisi because he laughed. And I'm like, Ta-Nehisi, if he sent you the invitation, I feel like you'll go. But anyway.
That man got to sell his book. So I'm gonna let him make it on trying to be gracious. And in his slight defense, Gail did tell him he had 20 seconds, I think, right before that. So it wasn't like he
That
could
had nothing to do
start
with him
back
accepting
again.
that invitation and being kiki.
But I will just say this whole segment encapsulates why Zionism is so problematic, because it is literally based on the wrong questions we ask. Because the question is not about whether Israel has a right to exist. That's the wrong question. The question is, why does the anti-Semitism that was carried out by white Europeans and white Americans get to be visited upon the Palestinians? That's the actual right question to be asking, because I feel like it would have been lovely. Y'all could have made it Israel and Germany, because they're the ones who were sending human beings into ovens. They're the ones that were literally stealing generations worth of wealth from Jewish people for no other reason other than the fact that they were Jews. And then you had people like Winston Churchill that was like, man, that really sucks, but we don't want them here in the UK. And then you had people like the United States saying, well, yeah, that really sucks, but we're going to keep our immigration quotas in place. So as these human beings are fleeing into the diaspora to try to stay alive and survive, how do we then let the people who cause it become the arbiters of how we solve the problem that originates with them? That's the right question.
But that's whiteness.
How do the people that were baking humans get to decide how we solve the problems that stem from the fact that y'all were baking humans? Get the actual hell out of here. And then how do you decide that reparations are necessary, but we're going to make brown people pay the reparations by dispossessing them of their land? No, let's turn Germany into Israel and call it a day. How about that? How about that?
And I absolutely, yes, to all the things you said. And I also really appreciated how Ta-Nehisi didn't let that man get him off his square with his very unserious questions. Because to your point, Ta-Nehisi was like, why the hell are you asking me about Israel's right to exist? We're here. Like, the baby has been born. What do you mean, does the baby have a right to exist? Like, here they are. Like, let's deal
talking
with
about
this.
Apartheid inside of the baby that's already here. Like that, keep the main thing. Yes.
Yeah. And so I love how he did all of that in such, and he had, not that he had a lack of emotion, but for many people would have been a very emotional exchange. He really kept that down. And I think really that's why the man also just looked so smug and just self-assured in ways that he wouldn't had Ta-Nehisi sort of taken it up a notch. So just from sort of like a media training perspective, I thought that part was a masterclass in terms of him, Ta-Nehisi, getting his point across. Like, First of all, I'm not going to say this, but I think your questions are stupid.
Yeah,
And I think you know that the mainstream media and pretty much the US machine protects Israelis in a way that they don't Palestinians. And so for you to get on here as a part of the US machine, the US media machine, and act like that's not the case, that's crazy. But I'm not going to say that. Like, there were so many times where he was like, this is stupid, and let me tell you why, but in such a way that I really appreciate it. So hats off to
yeah,
you, Ta-Nehisi, but you better not go to that holiday that they invite you to.
yeah. And the next time you see Gail King at one of y'all's foo-foo she journalistic functions, pull her aside and be like, girl, why you didn't say nothing? Don't pull that little baby aside, because I'm gonna give him a pass. Because we all been like 30 and happy to have our first good job. I'm gonna give him a pass. I
Look
don't
him
get
up,
Gail.
because he might be 55 and you over here giving him that. Like, look that man up. I want to know if we need to give him a pass or not.
Okay, because he looked real young, and I listen. I'm like, Gail, what is you doing? Gail was sitting, and you know how you know Gail knows she was on that shit. Gail was looking at her shoe. Like, if you go back and look at the clip, Gail was looking at her shoe.
And look, Gail was tougher on R. Kelly. Like, right? Like, she, and I know that was her interview, right? That's a different thing altogether. But it's like Gail knows how to push somebody in an interview. She knows how to interject. She knows how to get a point across. So for her to sort of be complacent and just like, "Doo, doo, doo, doo."
Yeah.
You've been a journalist forever. Stop that.
Yeah, but I'm just really tired of this whole, like, can we at least just start asking the right questions when it comes to Israel? I just, this whole, does Israel have a right to exist? Jewish people need to be safe. They didn't need to be safe from Palestinian people. That wasn't the people that was endangering them.
Chasing them.
That's not who they needed to be safe from. So the people who caused the danger should be the people making the reparation for the harm.
And so, Amber, as I'm thinking about that exchange and I'm thinking about season 10, and y'all know sometimes we try to have a theme and it's probably not gonna work, right? Like we'll have like a themed episode for like one, and then we'll be like, we just need some guests. Whoever will talk to us is, but it's making me, I'm sort of feeling like this idea of, you know, what is the righteous side of the thing, right? Like, because I think that there are more things than we want to believe that have a righteous side, and we acting like we trying to be on both sides. We trying to keep our good government job. We trying to straddle fences. And I just feel like in season 10, we need to pick a side. Like, where we gonna be?
You know, it's so interesting because in my quiet time this morning,
Uh-oh.
the Lord
Your
spoke to
prayer
me.
closet?
Yes, girl.
A literal prayer. You know, Amber is the kind of black bourgeoisie that can have a literal prayer closet. Go ahead, tell us about it.
I like how she gonna call me bourgeoisie while talking about my prayer closet. But anyway, the Lord, spoke to me this morning and was talking to me about making sure that my aspirations are holy and making sure that my aspiration is truly to be a disruptor and not an interrupter. Because when you interrupt, it's really about the actor. Disruption is about the action, right? Because interrupting is basically we talking about the same thing, but I'm the person speaking, right? And disruption is when we are changing and shifting and doing something completely different, right? And I feel like a lot of us have been confused about interruption and disruption, and we have assumed that interrupting, like putting a black face on the same system, is disruption, and it's not. And so I do think that was powerful confirmation to me what you just said, because we didn't even talk about that I think you're right, that the right side is the side of disruption, holy righteous disruption, and not going back and forth between I'll disrupt when it's not as costly and I'll interrupt when it's going to cost me too much. It's either you're going to disrupt or you're going to interrupt, but you're going to have to choose one, period.
Pick a side.
Yeah, that's what the Lord told me.
So, Amber, you have any homework for the brokers?
I mean, as usual, y'all need to get caught up. But you know what? I do want you guys to do. Because this work belongs to all of us. Like if in season 10, if there's something you want us to talk about, if there is a guest you think we should have on Brokish, if there is something that you want us to revisit because you think the last time we talked about it, we left it undone, you need to get in the comments and tell us that so that we can be doing what you guys want us to do and what will feed and bless this community. So do that for us, por favor. Gracias.
Girl, I wish. I'm like, we'd be out there farting in the wind on our social media, on Instagram and on Twitter.
I cannot
We'd be out
believe you
there,
just said that.
and it's like we can do it. Nobody will smell it. Nobody will hear it. There's nobody here but us.
But
So,
because
like,
the shadow ban is real, that's another thing. Like it really does help. Like people like us, like the shadow banning is real. They suppress our channel, they suppress our content because they don't want people to see it. So that's why we don't be begging y'all to like and share because we want to be famous. I love going to Walmart and to the Catfish Place entirely too much. But we want people to be informed, and we know that these algorithms are not for us, period.
no. And to that point, y'all know, so some of y'all OG brokers been listening to us in audio form on podcasting for, y'all, it's gonna be almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years this year. Have been listening to us in audio only version for a long time. But then we know that there are also the people who are new rocking with us from Black Liberation Media. Y'all know that Black Liberation Media is not monetized on YouTube. And so go down over there to bokliberationmedia.org and donate your money to them, to us, because we are part of Black Liberation Media. And go to the Patreon too and sign up to be a patron and do all of those things so that you can support more than just Brokish. But yeah. And so brokers, as we think about this upcoming season, that's just what it is. Pick your side. What you gonna do? Are you gonna interrupt or are you gonna disrupt? So think about that for the rest of your day, for the rest of this season. We're gonna be trying to figure out how we can do that. So thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of Brokish.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.